We see districts that are 2 campuses and 600 campuses and everything in between each year. And we work with, tons of different districts across the country, in really every circumstance. And so we see a lot of different whys. Why are they looking for inventory? What's the importance of it? For us, kind of the main stuff that we're seeing, federal and state compliance is pretty big. So especially after this COVID funding, where a lot of these audits are required annually or semi-annually because of the money that was spent and the way those dollars were spent. A lot of districts are looking for why, because either they've purchased new software and they obviously want a fresh start. They want that starting off good data, or they've had software running and maybe got a little bit negligent on it or haven't had the personnel to keep up with that. And so they're looking for kind of a reset, a fresh start to the software piece. And then strictly for management best practices, to be able to look at allocation. Do we have the right devices in the right locations for the right students? Do we have loss prevention? We want to make sure that we're maintaining this audits to make sure we're not losing things. And what some of what Daniel talked about is pretty important with a lot of districts, no matter the size, and that's going to be forecasting and budgeting. They're really looking to there's a return on investment for us doing the audit, or even the audits done internally, to knowing what you have and where it is, so you're not overspending on stuff. So a lot of districts that we'll work with are looking to say we bought 10,000 Chromebooks. We think we have 10,000 Chromebooks out there. We've got 10,000 students, but every student doesn't have one. Let's find them. So that's a lot of kind of what we see. And then it typically comes down to money, really. Like, people want to make sure they're spending their money in the right locations, in the right places. And so they don't want to double purchase assets that already exist if they exist somewhere and they're just not known about. And so these are kind of the problems and the hurdles that we see with a lot of districts, why they're looking to either have us talk with them about doing their audits or have us come in and do the audits. And it really comes down to kind of what's best in their scenario. Like when you've got your system up and running and you've got clean data, it's a lot easier to get started and to manage that process, to keep up with it. Also, I think a big step is also how you're managing that data. Like we talked about, when you're issuing Chromebooks out to students and student devices in general, there's a little bit more accountability on tracking those things, a little bit easier. But there's a lot of other components that people are inventorying and auditing. They're not just doing student devices. There's so much other assets that are involved in when we do inventories. Typically, we're going to see a lot of technology assets, everything across the flow. And then districts are going to look at other assets as well. Hey, we're auditing our capital assets, because that's super important when it comes back to the general ledger and to best practices, to their federal audits, to state audits, all that stuff. And a lot of other asset types are included in frontline asset management. The software, most people are not just doing technology assets; they're doing technology assets plus a few other things. And so again, when you're doing it internally, if you've got clean data to start with, it makes it much more manageable. And it's a matter of just keeping up with the workload that you can keep up with, and not trying to have something that's unrealistic, because when you get out of hand and it's unrealistic, people just push to the side and don't do it. And so we see those districts every day. We get a call from someone that says, listen, I tried to do this. I wanted to do this. I got busy. Come fix it.